Hello, Robert.
Hello, Reese.
So, just as a reminder, my name is Reese Ronan. I'm a university student and I am interested in different aspects of spirituality. Today, I am with Robert Béland, president of the Canadian Theosophical Association. Robert has worked with some of my colleagues before on a spirituality project at St. Thomas University. We are following up on the first interview where we posed the question, how can Theosophy help us to improve our lives, and why should everyone, without exception, at least take a look at what Theosophy is?
Yes, so today we'll get more into details. To realize to what extent such a wide variety of people, whatever their age, education, religion, personal interest, could be interested in Theosophy, I think we have to ask ourselves if of this universal wisdom, which is infinite, we could consider different aspects, and according to those aspects, one could also wonder who was, is, and will be attracted by Theosophy and why.
Yes, it seems to me that looking at this could bring us closer to some answers.
As we discussed last time, looking at the whole membership of the Theosophical Society from the beginnings to now, according to my observation, they can be classified into three broad categories. Of course, they may be exception out of the current 26,000 member, but I'm speaking generally. So when we consider Theosophy as this universal ancient wisdom underlying all religion, philosophy, sciences, we realize that it has attract and still attract in a particular way people who could be classified in these three categories. First, people having or being in search of an ideal. As an example, in the Theosophical Society, we speak of the masters of wisdom, and several members have this great desire to search these masters and to serve these masters, in the sense that themselves, these masters, have the goal of serving humanity. So these members of the Theosophical Society, therefore, have the ultimate goal to becoming servant of humanity and working to alleviate suffering in all sentient beings, as the Buddhists also say. Second, if we look at a book like The Secret Doctrine, we will quickly realize that this book is an inexhaustible source of knowledge, often expressed by concept not being easy to understand. This is therefore a source of attractions for seekers, intellectuals in search of knowledge, which can eventually lead to wisdom. But to understand this book, it requires good intellectual's capacity and a desire or a will to go in this direction. This is why I say that Theosophy has attract and still attract intellectuals. A third category, people in search of a meaning to life. This is easily explained in a quote from Leadbeater. So, quote, Theosophy provide us with a rational explanation of that existence, which before, for so many of us, was but an insoluble rhythm, a problem, and unanswerable riddle, unquote. Many also find that Theosophy provides clearer, fuller, and more satisfying explanation than do most religions and philosophy.
I agree with you, but that still doesn't explain why the majority of people should care. I think that, as you said during our first interview, the three categories of people you have just named are a minority compared to all of the people on this planet. So, what can attract more people to Theosophy?
So, to be able to include everybody and without exception, I think we should now consider a fourth category. What I mean by that is that this universal wisdom is something very broad. And I think it's not wrong to say that it's also include the laws of natures or the laws that govern this planet, as well as human beings. And again, if I paraphrase Leadbeater, he says some things like, since it is true that there are laws that govern this planet, if only for personal reason, it would be wise to know them. I think this means, among other things, that we will do much better and have a much more pleasant and happy life if we know and live by these great laws. And this is true for each and every one of us without exception.
So, you say everyone without exception, but don't you believe that people have a choice and that many people can choose not to live this way? And isn't that the case right now?
Of course, we have a choice because, as you said, many choose not to live this way. So we have a choice, at least in appearance, because each choice has its consequences, and as positive as we can be, and even if we want to give a message that will be pleasant to hear, that will please everyone, we cannot deny the law of cause and effect. It is recognized by everyone in the scientific world. You see, although it's possible to say that religion, philosophy, and even science do not interest me, and since that doesn't interest me, I will not engage into any of those activities. You will agree that when it comes to the law, it is not a matter of interest. We have to comply with it. So, in this sense, everyone, without exception, should know at least this specific basic part of Theosophy, which teach us about the law of natures. In the system we all know, the police, the judge, impose penalty for everyone who breaks the law. Obviously, this is not the case for the law of natures. However, I believe that we must come to the obvious that if things are going so badly on the planet at the moment, whether it's famine, war, climate change, these are consequences due to the fact that many people do not live in accordance with the laws of nature. So we have a choice, but there are consequences even if there are no judge and no police to apply them.
Again, though, it doesn't sound very appealing to say that we are obligated to obey the law, even if it is meant to make us happier. Being forced to do something can be enough for some people to decide not to do it, even if it is in their best interest.
Yes, you are absolutely right. And as I said, as positive we can be, and even if we want to give a message that will be pleasant to hear, there is no denying that these laws are unavoidable. The nature demonstrates this to us more and more often. But I also think that everything is in the way of seeing things. And often, if we can change the way we perceive what is offered to us, it can change our attitude towards that thing. I'll give you an example. Let's compare life to a game. And of course, this is just an example because obviously life is much more serious and our actions can have much greater impact in real life than in a game. But let's take that as an example. Most people will agree that in a game, the one who has more fun and wins more often is the one who knows the rules best and follows them. Another thing I can say is that most people I know who enjoy playing board games, for example, have no downsides and even enjoy learning the rules. Isn't it the same with life? Of course, we can turn against the law of nature, but they are unavoidable. You cannot go against the law of gravity. However, if we learn to work in harmony with these laws, we can do extraordinary things, such as airplanes going at high speed, which can greatly help us in our work and bring us a lot of pleasure. But I want to repeat, we do not achieve these fantastic results by breaking or going around the law of gravity, but by harmonizing ourselves and working with it. I could go on giving several examples, but I think this is enough to show that living in harmony with the great laws of nature can be pleasant and, above all, very beneficial for each and every one of us. Whether we talk about reducing stress, a more harmonious life, the quest for happiness, a fairer world, a solution to climate change, the environment, the animal welfare, knowing and applying these great laws of natures, which are in fact some basic principles of Theosophy, can truly help each and every one of us to live our lives with more equanimity and be part of the solution, not the problem.
Wow, thank you very much, Robert. So to summarize, you say that Theosophy and the laws of nature are intimately linked. Then you say that if they are laws, we have no choice but to follow them because there are always consequences. These consequences are not necessarily immediate, but will definitely happen. Then you go on to say that depending on how you view these laws, we can oppose them or follow them, and even take some pleasure in following them. And then you end by saying that by living in harmony with the laws of nature, we can have a more harmonious and therefore happy life. Since these laws of nature and Theosophy are intimately linked, it would be desirable for anyone looking for happiness for themselves and their family, and as you say, we're probably talking about everyone here without exception, it would be desirable at the very least to become familiar with the great Theosophical principles. So thanks again, and I think there will likely be comments and questions, so I hope we will have the opportunity to do another interview sometime soon.
Thank you, Reese.